Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. If you guys are enjoying the content of this channel, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe if you are new, and hit that notification bell so you're instantly notified whenever I upload or go live. And today we are back discussing the Eagles' final 53-man roster prediction. Hold up. Can you believe that the Eagles are playing a game in 9 days? It is insane, man. I cannot wait. This is the weirdest feeling to start a football season ever, but I am so freaking pumped. Now, I was going to plan out and do my entire roster prediction today, but last night the Philadelphia Eagles went on a spurt. They went on a spurt and just started cutting guys left and right. I think that we still need to cut like 13 or 14 more guys to get down to the 53. So that's what we're going to talk about here. I'm going to give you guys my final roster prediction. Obviously, there's already been some guys cut, so I took that into account. But hopefully, nobody else gets cut while we are recording this. I'll try to get it up as fast as possible. I got Twitter up. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So the Philadelphia Eagles have had an interesting camp. Obviously, a lot of guys going down with injury. We have to stay healthy. We got to stay on the field. But there have been some young guys stepping up, making their case to make this roster. Now, we will start with the quarterbacks. I think the Eagles will keep our 3 quarterbacks in Carson Wentz, Nate Sudfeld, and Jalen Hurts. I think that's pretty obvious what to do there. You got to keep those 3. In terms of the running backs, I think we are going to keep 3. Now, I actually thought we were going to keep 4, maybe 5, but probably 4. But yesterday, if you guys didn't see, Elijah Holyfield got cut, Adrian Killins got cut, which sucks. I hope they can clear waivers and make the practice squad and get back up to the active roster. I thought Elijah would be our bruiser type back kind of guy, and I thought Adrian Killins would at least be a special teams guy, but it was pretty interesting to see both of those guys get cut. But we will see what happens. The Eagles are probably going to keep 3 running backs in Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Corey Clement. Moving on to the wide receivers, I think that the Eagles are going to end up keeping 6. Now, the 6 I have here are Desean Jackson, Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's had an amazing camp, Greg Ward Jr., who I expect to start in the slot, John Hightower, and Quez Watkins, both the late-round draft picks. They've made a case this camp. John Hightower with some pretty big catches, Quez Watkins, that burner speed all over the field. I think those guys have really made a case. When we came into camp, I thought probably one out of two of those guys would end up making it, but both have really made their case. In terms of a guy like Alshon Jeffrey, I think he will start the season on the PUP list, and he's going to have to sit out like 6 weeks, I think, before he can come back, which makes sense because I think he's still rehabbing that injury. I think he will find his way up eventually, but as of right now, and with Marquise Goodwin opting out as well, and Jalen Reagor, I mean, who knows? He's going to start the season injured, so he might be out a couple weeks. A guy like Deontay Burnett, who I talked about yesterday, was cut. I could definitely see him hopefully clearing waivers today and then making it back up to the active roster because he had an unbelievable camp. The dude was breaking out before our eyes, 22 years old. In terms of the tight ends, obviously, Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert will be there. But this third tight end, I know the Eagles usually keep a third tight end. I don't think we did last year. But usually we have a guy like a Trey Burton or a Joshua Perkins. And Perkins got hurt in camp. This undrafted rookie out of Oregon, Noah Ty guy, I mean, he had a pretty impressive camp. No one really thought much of him, but he made a couple nice touchdown catches. He proved his worth, and I think he's going to end up making the 53-man roster. So we'll see. In terms of the offensive linemen, this is where it kind of gets a little tricky. I think we're going to end up keeping 9 guys. Obviously, our starters, as of right now, will probably be Matt Pryor, Isaac Samalo, Jason Kelsey, JP at right guard, and then Lane Johnson. Now, in terms of these draft picks and these other guys that have gone undrafted or late-round picks trying to make it, it gets pretty interesting. I do think we'll keep Jack Driscoll, obviously a 4th-rounder this year. Nate Herbig is a guy who's been fighting. I saw we cut Luke Jeriga, so he's gone. But Nate Herbig, I think, will make the roster. These last couple is where it gets tricky. Sua Opeta has been fighting for a spot. So is Jordan Mailata. I think Jordan Mailata is going to make the roster, even though I don't want him to. I'm kind of tired of this whole project. I think he's going to end up making the last spot. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. And Prince Tega was a draft pick this year. I think the Eagles will use their stock on a guy they drafted this year instead of Sua Opeta. So I think Opeta will end up getting cut. I think we keep 9 offensive linemen. Moving to the defensive side of the ball, I think our defensive line is also pretty interesting. Obviously, in terms of defensive ends, we will be keeping Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett. Vinny Curry obviously signed back here, and he's going to make it. He's a great depth piece. I think Josh Sweat has had a pretty nice camp. A lot of people are calling for him to break out. I do think he will make the roster. These last couple get interesting. Do we keep just 4? I think that we go above and beyond. I think we keep Casey Toolhill, who is kind of like a hybrid also between linebackers, so I think he will serve as good as a late round pick. Another guy stepping up. And Joe Osman, I do think Joe Osman is going to end up making the roster just because he's had an impressive camp. I understand, some of the days he was going up against Jordan Mailata, but still, Joe Osman, even against some of our starters, was finding a way to get pressure on a quarterback. And could he be another, second unit kind of piece? I think Joe Osman could, and I think he's made a strong case to make this roster. Moving on to the defensive tackles, Fletcher Cox will be there. Javon Hargrave, even if he starts the season injured, he will be there. And I think Malik Jackson, obviously, will be a huge depth piece for this team. I think he could have a very sneaky good year. And I think Hassan Ridgeway is going to end up making the team. There's a couple guys, even for defensive end, that I didn't talk about, like Sharif Miller, who was a 4th rounder last year. Kind of has that hometown chip, and I don't think he's going to make it. Another undrafted guy like Raekwon Williams, who people were kind of high on and started to chat about, I don't think he's going to make it. If any extra defensive tackle makes it, I think it would actually be Anthony Rush out of anybody. But T.Y. McGill also got cut today. I think Anthony Rush could potentially make it, but it is kind of a long shot. And if Sharif Miller gets cut, man, that's going to be huge. And if Jannard Avery, another guy who's battling with injury, if the Eagles cut him, I know people are going to be talking about that one a lot. Moving on to the linebacker position, another interesting one because we thought this was going to be our weakest link, but a lot of guys are stepping up and making a case. So it's actually gotten pretty tough in terms of the competition here. Obviously, Nate Gary will head that group, TJ Edwards as well. Some of our draft picks, Sean Bradley, he was a long shot coming into camp, in my opinion, but he has shown a couple big hits on Burnett and Goddard. I think Sean Bradley's playing with a chip on his shoulder. I do think he makes this roster. Davion Taylor, obviously a 3rd-round pick, has that breakaway speed all around the field. I mean, he's just all over the field, and I think he has a long way to go in terms of developing, but his future is bright. I think Davion Taylor will be here. And then the last guy I put is Duke Riley. Now, this was between him and Alex Singleton. I just think Duke Riley has a little more experience. And they both had a pretty decent camp, but obviously I don't think we're going to be able to keep all of them. So I'll say Duke Riley. Moving on to the safety position, another interesting one. Obviously, Rodney McLeod will be there. Jalen Mills. I'm surprised that he was able to convert to safety, and I've been hearing some pretty good things about Jalen Mills, so I'm excited to see where he takes this step in his career. Will Parks is injured, and he's out, I think, for 4 to 6 weeks. Another injury, but he'll obviously make the roster. Kayvon Wallace, our rookie, man, we're excited about him. He's going to get even more playing time now. He's going to deliver some pretty big hits. I think Kayvon will make it. And our 5th and last guy I'm going to say is Rudy Ford. I think Rudy Ford will serve as a great special teams piece. He might end up getting a few snaps depending on how guys stay healthy or not. But I think Rudy Ford is a great special teams piece. That's why I would choose him over a guy, like a Marcus Epps or one of those kind of guys. I think Rudy Ford, who has been with the Eagles now for a year, I believe, I think he will end up making it. And don't forget, some of these guys will clear waivers, hopefully, and go to the practice squad, and they might be able to be brought up. But I think Rudy Ford ends up making this team. In terms of the cornerbacks, Darius Slay will be there. Avonte Maddox will be there. Our slot god, Nickel Roby-Coleman, having a great camp. Crayvon LeBlanc, I think, makes this roster. He's still being kind of slept on, in my opinion, but I don't think he's going to start at the slot, but I do think he will contribute this year. And then Craig James, if you guys didn't hear, Craig James is not only not getting cut, but he actually got an extension today, which is interesting. And then the last guy, I gotta say, it's Sidney Jones. If you guys also didn't hear, Trevor Williams got cut today as well. We brought him back for a second stint like a week ago. Thought maybe he has a chance, but I guess he just didn't have enough, so he's gone. Sidney Jones, man. Sidney Jones. I think he ends up making the last spot over Rasul Douglas. It's one of their times to go. Could you imagine cutting both of those guys? It would be crazy, but I think Rasul Douglas, I just think his time is up. We know what he is, and he's out. And you could say the same thing for Sidney Jones, but at the same time, I just feel like at this point, man, like all hopes from a lot of people are down on Sidney Jones. So we're going to see what he's able to do. I could see either one of those guys getting cut, but I think Sidney Jones somehow, even though he might not deserve it, I think Sidney Jones ends up making the last cornerback spot. And then the last three are our special teams guys, which are obvious. Jake Elliott, Cam Johnson, and our long snapper, Rick Lovato. Those guys will absolutely be there. And that rounds out my top 53. I'm going to refresh Twitter here just to make sure nobody else got cut. And again, I'm going to try to get this up as quick as possible. No, nobody else got cut. This looks at least close to what our opening day roster is going to be. We play a game in 9 days. I am so excited. I cannot wait to see how this team functions. And let me tell you, we got some playmakers on this team. Can we stay healthy? That is the most important thing, in my opinion. You guys let me know down below. What would you change about this list? Who is on your final 53? Maybe a guy that you didn't expect to make it that is going to end up making it. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.